The things we're going to talk about today is what you can control. Right? If you're on Zillow, you can't control when your phone's going to ring with a lead. If you're paying Homes.com, if you're paying every other service that calls your phone and tries to sell you something for $20 a month, and like I said, you can spend $20 a month in this business and go broke on all the different stuff people are trying to sell you. These are some things you can control. You can control your attitude. You can be grateful. You can be positive in this business. As hard as this business gets sometimes, and as tough it is to stay positive, staying positive is so critical. Like I say in this business, you can't take the highs too highs and you can't take the lows too lows. Because if you do, you could go nuts. You can control your network. You can control your sphere. You could control who you associate with. Right? There's a saying, you are most likely like the 5 people you hang around the most. So you could control your network. You could control your exercise routine. I sometimes don't control my exercise routine as good as I like to control my exercise routine. But I know when I'm in a good exercise routine, I usually am in a good business routine. You control your gratitude. There's something about coming from a place of gratitude and to be grateful. I am grateful to be here right now. I am grateful that 50 people in this room took time out of their busy schedule to come hear me speak. And I hope you guys will be grateful at the end that you came because you took some things that could help with your business today. You could control your habits. Anyone who's heard me speak, anyone who talks to me all the time, there's one thing I always drill in. The difference in this business and the difference in your income levels is the consistency you put in this business. The more consistent you are in the business, usually the better you do in this business. Because I always like using this example. Carl, I am so slow. I just had 5 closings and I am so slow. I don't know what happened. How many realtors in this room have thought that? You don't have to raise your hand, but how many realtors have thought that? Like, wow, the last 2 months I was so busy with these closings and now I'm slow. And I always say to that agent, what did you do prospecting-wise consistently to focus on your business? You're acting as a firefighter with your deals going on, fire, psh, fire, psh, fire, psh, that you forget to prospect for new business because you need those closings. And then those closings happen and you're in my office like, Carl, I don't know. I have no business. Well, you have no business because you consistently didn't do anything to try to keep getting the business when you were busy. Your efforts. There's only one person that can really get you fired up and keep you consistent. And that's the person you look at in the mirror. Some people will listen to a Gary Vee video, Grant Cardone, and they're ready to run through a wall. But 20 minutes later, they're right back to their old habits. So only you could control that. But your efforts is what's going to dictate what it is. When I was an agent, I was not the best salesperson. I was not the best prospector. I was not the best realtor. But I worked. And I would outwork people. That's it. No other line. I wasn't that charming. Wasn't that smart. You can see my high school report cards. Not that smart. But I put in the effort and the time of what I needed to do to succeed. So a little bit about my story. Some of you, I know you've heard this before. You're going, oh, great, here he goes. Anyway, when I started the business, I was living in Philadelphia. I got a master's degree at Lehigh. I had a job in Philadelphia I hated. I called up my parents. I'm about 26 years old, 25 years old. I said, Mom, Dad, I'm moving home. I heard the phone drop. I heard my dad in the background go, what? What do you mean you're moving home? I was like, I'm going to get into real estate. 25 years old, broke. I mean, broke. I moved back in with my parents. For anyone who listens to like Dave Ramsey financial stuff, he's probably not going to recommend what I did. I got a credit card, 0% interest for 12 months. said, I'm going to live off this credit card for 12 months because I still wanted to go out with my friends. I still wanted to do this. I still wanted to do that. So if I can't pay this credit card off after 12 months, I'm going to go get a real job. Because this isn't a real job, right? Real job. So I started working in April. I couldn't buy leads because I didn't have money. Zillow and all that wasn't even really that big then. Well, I sound like I'm aging myself. All right, it wasn't really that big then. It was 2006. Market was still the good market, right? And I had to figure something out. Because I said, listen, Carl, you're sacrificing everything you did. You have a master's degree, barely, but you have one. You have all these degrees. They look great on a wall. And you just said, forget it. I'm going a different direction because this is what I'm passionate about. So when I started working, I give my old broker, he said, I think REOs might come back as a thing. I said, great. How do I get him? He goes, well, you just call. I'm like, all right, great. I'm like, that's zero help. So what I started to do is I started going to sheriff sales. I started tracking the sheriff sales results. If I saw something went back to a Countrywide, I called 1-800-Countrywide. Literally, just go on the website and call 1-800-Countrywide. And I would cold call banks, and I did this for 7 to 8 months, from 9 to 5. Making no money. And I said, I'm going to double down on this, and I'm just going to go after it. I was single, no kids. I said, I have no excuses. I pounded the phones. Boom, 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 every day, 9 hours. Listen, I was wired that way. We're going to talk about other things you can do, but it didn't cost me any money because, number one, I didn't have any money. My parents weren't going to lend me any money. And I called, and I was conscious about calling. I had a really bad speech impediment until I was 6 years old. I literally didn't talk. I just babbled. I still can't pronounce a lot of words. If you make me read something out loud, I get very awkward because I'm probably going to screw up the saying of something. But I didn't let that stop me. So I called, and then it all came together. I started getting business, started doing this, started hitting my financial goals. There was other people at the same time doing it who had more experience, actually had contacts at banks, which I didn't have, doing it side by side to me, and they're no longer in the business. Is it because I'm a great salesperson? No. Is it because I'm very articulate? No. Is it because I had the effort, the will, and the desire to do it? Yes. And that could apply to any part of the business. If you're going after expireds, you're going after FSBOs, whatever it is, if you put in that effort and you put in that consistency, it's going to pay off. So that's why I like to tell this, because I'm not just doing this training as like a theory, like, oh, I read this in a book, like this, I've been through this. I still go through this. And that's why I wanted to kind of do this training, because I want to see less people always fall into like, I got to buy Zillow leads. I have to buy Zillow leads. Because you know what? Some people buy Zillow leads and they're terrible at converting leads and they're just throwing away money. So it's time versus money. Tony Robbins says the path to success is to take massive, determined actions. And this goes back to mindset. If you really want to do this and you really want to have the unlimited income potential that this business allows, you have to take massive action and you have to be determined to do it. I was 25. My family went on a vacation. I didn't go because I was on such a stride with business and prospecting that I didn't want anything to break it up. Listen, this might be a little bit extreme. I get it. I lost friends during that year because while they were going out on a Friday, Saturday night, I was broke. And my 0% credit card was starting to hit its limit. So I stayed in. I made sacrifices. I was determined. And like I said, there was 2 other people when I started trying to do the same exact thing I did. Neither one of them are in real estate. And you know what? They were smarter than me. The one was better looking, better salesperson, better this. I didn't care. I saw a great interview with Will Smith. Will Smith was talking about his work ethic. He says, you put me on a treadmill next to somebody else, I will outrun them. I guarantee it, because I will die on that treadmill. I was like, whoa. But that is the mindset. And when you're generating business and you're trying to take your business to the next level, You have to have that mindset. So we're not going to really talk about money for generating leads. You could throw as much money as you want at leads and everything else. You can get as many leads as you want. You could throw them at Zillow, Trulia, Homes.com. I mean, there's so many things you get phone calls about. Who here gets a phone call from a 206 number and you ignore it because you know exactly who it's going to be? It's going to be a Zillow rep trying to sell you something else. And then you hang up with them and then somebody else calls you and tries to sell you something else. But this one's only $19.95 a month and you're going to get seller leads. Come on, right? And that's the thing. We're going to go into this with sellers. You can't buy seller leads. Really, at the end of the day, you cannot buy seller leads. You can buy SmartZip. I know so many agents who bought SmartZip. Like, yeah, I don't know if it never really worked. So we're going to go more into that. This is a great book I always recommend for someone talking about action, The 10X by Grant Cardone. I don't know if you follow Grant Cardone on social media or anything. Grant Cardone owns a huge portfolio of real estate. He's very motivational. He's a speaker. He just talks about if you're going to do something, 10X it. All right? And that's something I love because when I figure out how to do something, I'm like, great, this worked once or twice. How do I scale it? I was an agent. The first thought when I got my first listing, I did yes. And then the next thought I was like, well, how do I get 10? And then I got 10. I'm like, how do I get 20? I'm like, ooh, 20's fun. How do I get 30? Okay, now how do I take myself out of this? How do I build people around me to support me? Right? To me, that's fun. Building any business. Okay, you did it once. How do I scale it to large numbers? And to me, I find it fun, which is probably some of you are thinking like, that's weird. But this is a great book to read. I try to listen to it once Audible. Again, I'm not the best reader, but I try to listen to it once a year. Generating leads. I get this call, I'm a brand new agent. I don't know what to do. Where do I go? I have no money. Well, if you're someone in your office is probably paying for a lot of leads, and they have a ton of leads that they haven't hit. Who's here has been that agent that you have a ton of leads that you really never did anything with? Names, email addresses. You guys are a lot better at following up with leads than I am. But if you're a newer agent and you're good on, you team up with that agent. So just to say I was Rocco. Hey, Rocco, I'm really trying to generate some business, blah, blah, blah. Do you have a bunch of old leads that you might not be able to hit, that you haven't hit? Yeah. Great. Would you mind if I work them, give them to me on an Excel spreadsheet, and if I get any business from it, I'll give you a 25% referral? Rocco, does that sound fair? Right? I don't have money to do it, so I got to think outside the box. And in most offices, there's an agent there that has a ton of old leads that they're not doing anything with. If it was me, I would, you want to work these old leads? I'll give you 25% referral. But let's talk about how to work the old leads. Right? Real crazy, crazy concept. And for people who might not remember, sometimes you even still see them in an office. It's got a cord. It's got 9 digits, a pound. It's called a phone. If you're really good on the phone, you could really make a lot more money in this business. And that's why this is why I'm going to say this. I text John. Hey, John, how are you? Do you want to go see 123 Main Street? Any questions? John's going to sit there at his phone and calculate a response back the way he wants it. If I call John and catch him on the phone, John can't be as calculated. John has to react to what I'm saying. So I'm going to be on the phone. I'm going to direct the conversation the way I want to go. On text message, he has a much better chance of directing the conversation. So I'm not saying text is not a good way to incubate and work leads. If you get somebody on the phone and you're confident on the phone, because again, you have to be confident on the phone, you could direct it. And I would say, hey, John, I know in 2008 you were looking for a house. You inquired in Zillow. I just want to let you know that our office has some new inventory coming on, and we also have some foreclosure inventory that's about to hit the market. I would love to share with you. Are you still interested in looking for a house? No, we purchased. Okay, great. If he hears that there's new inventory coming on and you have something to offer that they can't find on Zillow, Trulia, or Realtor.com, better believe he's going to say yes. Great, John, what are you looking for? What exactly is your criteria to see if I have something in there? Great, if I set this up, do you want to go see it on Saturday? Most realtors will do this phone call. Hey, John, it's Carl with ABC Realty. Are you still looking for a house? 2019 is a great year to buy. John's like, no, goodbye. You have to call with a purpose, and you have to call with some type of call to action. What's going to make you stand out from the other 44 people that are going to call that old lead? Because a lot of leads, does anybody know the stats? It takes a time from somebody to inquire about Zillow to buy a property. Anybody? It's typically about 6 months. Right? You remember when pay-per-click leads were the big thing? That lead cycle was about 1.5 years. So if you have old leads, they might not have bought yet. So if you're looking for a way to generate leads, that is a great way to do it. Is it hard? Yes. Are you going to get hung up on? Yes. Is it not the most fun thing to do? Yeah, it's not. But if you're really determined to grow your business and want to generate some more leads, this is a great avenue to do it. And I'm such a big proponent of the phone. So, Carl, I don't like the phone. I'm not calling. All right. I get it. But you have email addresses. This is what I would do. I would shoot a simple video. Listen, none of us like how our voice sounds. Not everyone this isn't a glamour shot. You're not on a confessional for New Jersey housewives. Don't overthink it. Don't go out and buy Bomb Bomb and spend $500 because everyone says Bomb Bomb's the greatest thing ever, right? But if you're not going to call, you got to do something else. And I would not just send an email saying, hi, John, Carl, Remax, looking to buy, 2019, let me know. Come on, no one's going to respond. If you do a video, there's a program, I'm going to mention it a couple times. It's called Vidyard, VIDYARD.com. This program is absolutely free. It works with Gmail, a Google Chrome extension. You plug it into the email. If you have a CRM, you could put the video in there. You shoot a video with the same script. Hi, you inquired about a property in the last 12 months. Just want to let you know we have some new inventory coming on the market. Some is foreclosure inventory. Might be a great opportunity. If you're still in the market, let me know. I'd love to share some of this information with you. You send it out as a video. You can see who opens the email and a CRM. If you don't, you just send it through Gmail. It costs you nothing. If you send that out and you get one response and that's a buyer, is it worth it? Yeah. You're going to fail more than you succeed. When someone asks me, what'd you do to build your business, whatever, I said, I failed so much that eventually I had to win. So the video is such a great tool. All right, Carl, I don't like video. I don't like calling. What else you got? All right. There's a program this is going to cost you a little bit of money. It's a program called Slide Broadcast. Slide Broadcast is you could drop a voicemail into somebody's voicemail. If you're not going to call, you're not going to do video, this could be an alternative. You leave the person a voicemail saying, hey, John, same script. If you're looking to buy, we have inventory coming up, blah, blah, blah. Call me back, 732, yada, yada, yada. If they call you back because they hear your message, or they read your message, right, because everything transcribes now, that's probably a good lead. It won't cost much money to do. It'll probably cost you maybe $40 to send it out through Slide Broadcast. You record the message and out it goes. It's a great follow-up tool. I know everybody's reading this right now going, oh, open houses. 5 years ago, this would not be on my presentation. This year, it's on my presentation because you know what? In this market, you can get a ton of people at an open house. And you need to generate business, and I don't care if you've been in the business 1 year or 30 years, you can still generate quality leads open house. The problem is you have to hold an open house that's good for you. The house has been on the market for 90 days, overpriced. Probably not the best one to generate leads at. You're in the right area, right location, right price, showing start at the open house, especially if you have a listing. This is going to go into what we'll talk about later, but this is leverage. You have the listing. You're there at the open house. You know the house better than anybody else. Showing start at the open house, you're going to get traffic if it's priced right and it's in a good location. 5 years ago, I'd be like, don't even worry about this, because the inventory was so much greater. But what's everybody saying? Inventory is limited. You know what's funny? I love realtors for this. When inventory's tight, everybody's like, oh my God, there's no inventory. This is brutal. And then it loosens up a little bit, like, oh, the market's crashing. I got to go look for a new job. 2 weeks ago, you were in my office complaining that there was no inventory. Now it's Armageddon that the market's going to crash because there's a little bit more inventory. Oh, yeah, Carl, I just forget it. I'm putting out applications. Like, what? So you do a lot of signs, knock the neighbors' doors, invite them. And what's good about that, if you're really working in an area and you knock the neighbors' doors, invite them to an open house, give them a little bit of information. If you're really focusing on the area, it makes you sort of become that expert in the area. It's just good branding. Right? Go to the price range you feel confident. I love when an agent who's newer, who's probably never done a deal, says, I'm not doing an open house under $600,000. Good for you. Do a price range you're comfortable in, right? I mean, a well-priced house for a first-time home buyer in this market, it's not whether or not you're going to get people, it's how many people you're going to get. Again, if it's priced right in a good area, new to the market. Right? Know the inventory below your price and know the inventory above that price. Because if you get somebody in and they're saying, oh, well, we want to know this, we want to know this, or what about this house? You need to be a consultant to those people. Oh, there's a great house around the corner. Here's the MLS listing sheet. Would you like to go see it? Right? You have to know the inventory. You should have the MLS sheets. If you're going to be there for 3 hours on a Sunday and you're dreading it, you might as well maximize the best of it. I know how it is. It's like, oh, Sunday, I'd rather be home. I don't want to deal with this open house. But if you're going to do it right. Right? There's some people in this room, I know when they do an open house, they probably have 17 signs in it. And it looks like it's throwing up a color. But that's how to really maximize it to get leads. And again, this stuff doesn't cost you money. It costs you time. It costs you effort. And really costs determination. And again, advertise the open house on Zillow, Trulia, Realtor, all that type of stuff. Right? Because you know what I love too? People who buy Zillow leads, and I hear this a lot, especially from like team members, for some of our teams. It's like, oh, they only want to work with the listing agent. Right? How many times people say that on a Zillow lead or anything like that? I say, well, that's great because your team leader has 30 listings and you haven't sold any of them. So if you're telling me they only want to work with the team leader and you're getting the leads on the listings, how come you haven't sold any of the listings? Well, right? That's a limiting belief. It's a limiting belief, and it also probably means that you need help on your dialogues and your scripts for lead conversion. Because you tell me one thing and then you say the other. Right? Have good material with you. You could have really good printed material, and it doesn't cost a lot. Go to websites like Fiverr.com. There's websites like, our next training is actually going to be on scaling your business for as little as $3 an hour. And the whole training is going to be about how to leverage virtual assistants to grow your business. Because I've used virtual assistants for the last 3 to 4 years, and they are an intricate part of my business, and they're some of the best people I've worked with. So we're going to really talk about how to leverage that. But again, going back to this is have really good printed material. Someone says they come in an open house, oh, we're thinking about maybe selling the house. Give them your pre-listing packet. Oh, well, we're thinking about trying to sell the house on our own. A lot of people are saying that now, right? Because it's a good market. That's what's making Purple Bricks and everything be able to gain traction. And it's because agents don't have good marketing materials, and Purple Bricks is just making themselves look like better marketers. So you should have a FSBO packet. Oh, we're thinking about selling your house. Great. Here's some information about selling it. You should have an arsenal in your bag to be able to help and build rapport to work the lead. Right? Pre-listing packets aren't tough. If you're in our office, we give you a customizable pre-listing packet. All you got to do is fill your information in. You have the FSBO packet. Go to websites like Fiverr. It builds it all out for you. Really, really cost effective. Social media. Truth be told, like, I kind of hate social media. Right? It's like, I don't care what someone I wasn't really friends with in high school is doing. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know if I need skin products because I get so many skin products posts on my Facebook. But right, social media, what's great about it is it keeps you in front of your sphere, people you know. So I'll tell you a story. I got a phone call from somebody, hey, Carl, we're looking to buy new construction. I'm like, wait, you're calling me? About what? What happened was I went to high school with her. To be quite frank, I didn't really remember her. She goes, I see on Facebook you do real estate. We have questions. We know who you are. We feel trustworthy with you. So what you want to do with your social media is you want to just post stuff that's good content that makes you an expert in your, it puts you number one in these people's category as who to go to for real estate. Whether it be the picture of your open house or anything like that. Like, listen, some people might go overboard. There is a fine line. All right? I'll admit that. There's a fine line. And I, by no means, is like an expert in social media. But you got to give people a glimpse of what it's like buying and selling real estate before they do it. One of the problems we have in this business is we are so ingrained in it every day. We know what it takes to buy and sell a house. A lot of buyers and sellers out there don't. Have you ever worked with a buyer and they asked you and you're going through the deal or whatever, and they ask you such an elementary question, and you're just like, oh my God, I can't believe I never explained that. Because we're doing this every day, but these buyers and sellers aren't. I'm a huge proponent in this. There's an agent we worked with who tripled their business on doing seminars. First-time home buyer seminars, seller seminars. It's a great thing to promote on social media. Right? You can organize the event through Eventbrite, which is free. You could get it on social media. You could pay a little bit of money and run some ads if you want. You could have people ask people to share it. You partner up with a mortgage rep. You partner up with an attorney, a home inspector. Hey, a home inspector. Has anyone ever really heard of a home inspector at a... Steve, shut the camera off for a minute. No, has anyone ever really heard? You know, home inspectors could be a little dry sometimes. But you get a good home inspector that can capture the crowd. Listen, everybody could be a little dry sometimes. But giving information out to people for free without the expectation of something in return. Come to the seminar, there's some food, whatever else. You promote it on social media. You get people there. Let's just say you can even promote it as, pre-qualifications, pre-approvals done on the spot. There are a lot of people out there who don't know if they can really buy a house. We don't think of it like that because we're in the business every day, but there are a lot of people who really aren't concerned whether or not they can say. And I know that for a fact because when my brother bought his house, he wasn't sure if he could qualify to buy a house. And he was surprised how much he was able to qualify for. Have you ever worked with a buyer who doesn't know whether or not they're going to be pre-approved and it was an easy pre-approval? So there's a lot of people on that fence. It's your job to be that expert and to help them climb over the fence and navigate it through. How many houses do we really sell? How many times have you walked into a house and you're like, look at this sweeping staircase. Look at this beautiful marble. You should, like it's $1 million listing and you're high kicking something in the middle of the house thinking like you're selling it. The sellers or the buyers typically pick out the house they really want. Our job is to help them navigate through all the issues that come through with buying a house. because the buyers are unaware of it. Same thing with the sellers, right? And I always say this, to be a big selling agent, you're probably going to be wired differently than a person who deals with a lot of buyers. Buyers are happy through the process. We love this. The houses are so nice. Until you get to home inspection, right? Like, oh, we're going to see 30 more houses? Great. You're like, oh. Sellers are different. Who here has ever had that listing, and after the first showing, you get that phone call? Excuse me, Carl. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what's up? Somebody left a light on in the half bathroom. This is completely unacceptable. Right? You just put the phone on mute. You're just like, oh, great. Pick it back up. Yeah, Mr. That is not acceptable. We're going to put a sign up on the bathroom that says, please turn off all the lights. No, Carl, even better off, I want you to be at every showing of my house that's overpriced and you have a short term on it. Dealing with buyers and sellers are different. But that's why I say if you're really comfortable with buyers, right, and that's kind of like, it's cooler to be like like everyone wants to be a listing agent. Not everyone's really wired to be a listing agent. And then imagine carrying 20 listings and you get 20 phone calls of lights not on, this not on, mud got tracked in through the house. You know, even though the other agent couldn't read the sign, they said, please wear the booties and all this. Like, we all know it happens. Right, I used to love before the GPS was really big and people kept calling me asking me for directions. I'm like, just go on MapQuest, right? Because MapQuest. But you're different to be a listing agent and find what you're really comfortable at and what you really like doing. So even going back to sellers, the seminars are even back. You can even do seller seminars. A lot of people bought in 2006, 2007, and they don't know if they have any equity in their house. They still question it. They don't know. How many times have you walked into a listing appointment and the person bought their house in 2005, 2006, and they really don't know? But by now, the way the market's going and that many years of payments, typically people have equity where they're able to sell. Because people bought the house the house is too small, whatever else. I would focus on people who bought during those years and do a seller seminar. And my seller seminar would be advertised and posted just like this. Did you purchase in 2005, 2006? Question mark. Are you wondering if there's equity in your house? Question mark. Are you not sure what it takes to sell your house? Question mark. Join me for a free seminar, blah, blah, blah. All right? It doesn't take a lot of money. You know, some of the agents in our office, they use our training room. They bring food in. There's halls, there's tons of things that you can leverage to do this. It doesn't have to be like a 5-star thing. So don't overthink it too. Don't get lost in paralysis. See, I can't say words like that out loud. I wasn't kidding. But it's just taking that action. Does anyone have any questions? Comments? Think this is all fluff? No? Good. We're going to talk about generating seller leads. This is the biggest topic there is. Guys, I don't care what anyone says. You really, really cannot pay for seller leads. The only thing you could pay for is you can get seller leads from Zillow. But this also goes back to Zillow is you better have your profile right. You better have all your reviews. You better have all of that set up. Right, Mom, right? You had a listing appointment and the guy read your reviews. Yes. Like, it's out there, it's happening. I'm not selling Zillow. I'm just saying is whether or not you spend $1 on it, it does not cost anything to make sure your profile is right. Because this is what happens, and I've told this to agents. You're spending thousands of dollars mailing out letters, postcards, recipes, whatever you're mailing. People are going online and they're Googling you, and your Zillow profile is number 2. You have no reviews, you have an old picture, and you have no sales. So they just take your card and they chuck it. It's a validator. Right? It's like people going on Amazon to buy a coffee pot. I know that sounds crappy, but it's true. And another thing to think about with that too is Don't freak out if you get a bad review. I always like to reiterate this because people freak out when they get a bad review. Listen, we live in New Jersey. People are skeptical if things look too good to be true. Who here has ever gone on TripAdvisor and looked at a vacation? You're like, oh, look at all these great reviews. And there's one person who's like, I went and there was no towels at 2 o'clock in the afternoon by the pool. I hate this place. I see reviews like that. I'm like, this place is probably pretty real. These are real reviews. So don't get scared off by one bad review because it's just going to show you're normal. And I don't think a lot of people think of it like that. So generating seller leads, expireds. You're going right for the throat. If you're going after expireds, it's like a karate chop to the neck. You're on the phone with that. You're asking the person, are you interviewing any more agents? Why didn't your house sell the last time? When can we meet? Blah, blah, blah. No fluff. You're going straight for the kill. You will be cursed at. You will be called everything under the sun. You will be called things you don't even know what that means. Because that happened to me once. And I started laughing at the seller. I said, listen, I'm not that smart. It's like, I don't even know what that means. Right? But again, you got to be wired that way. Not everyone's wired to call expireds. I could call expireds. It doesn't bother me. Call me what you want. Call me what it is. I'll have fun with it. Right? You could get phone numbers for expireds for pretty inexpensively through programs like LandVoice, Vulcan, RedX, everything, Cold, all these programs. Or you could do what I used to do before all these programs were out there. You would look up the phone number on something like 411.com or White Pages. Like I would look up phone numbers because this technology wasn't really out there. I feel like I'm really dating myself in this presentation, right? So that stuff wasn't there, but it didn't stop me from making the calls. Like I said, when I started doing REOs, I didn't have the direct phone number to the asset manager. It wasn't like, hey, Carl, please call me. We have this awesome information. I would call the 1-800 number and say, yeah, a house down the street got foreclosed by me. I would love to talk about it. I'm interested in buying the property because I didn't want them to know I was a realtor. And then when I got the right person on the phone, I'm like, oh, no, actually I'm a realtor because it's all about getting to the right person. So again, expireds is cutthroat. It's either calling or it's mailing. You can mail expires or have things dropped off. I would just do a pre-listing packet. Wayne Frederick gives this really great advice. You put a yellow ticket on it, a yellow sticky note on it, and write, thought this information would help. If you're interviewing other agents, let me know. And you get it out to them right away. What happens to this, too? All right, there's all these properties on the market. Everybody's going after expireds. There's a same group of agents that go after expireds every single day, and they go against each other all the time on listing appointments. So what I would do is I would start calling everybody who took their house off the market around the holidays. What expired in October? What expired in November? What expired in September? And I would start calling those expireds. Because a lot of those people, how many times have you had a listing? We're going to take it off the market and wait for the spring. I see people laughing. It happens all the time. So if they're waiting for the spring, I'm going to call them. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I saw your house expired in October. Just curious, are you waiting for the spring to put it back on the market? You're going to be interviewing agents? I'd love to be considered. Straight to the... No, we're not. Goodbye. Everything else under the sun. All right, on to the next. But if you do it consistently, you do it enough, you're going to generate business. And you got to think outside the box. If everyone's going after here, where can you go where not a lot of people... I always like playing in a sandbox where not a lot of other people were playing when generating leads. FSBOs. Carl, I am not cutthroat. I can't get it right to the neck. You need to do FSBOs. For sale by owners is a relationship building type lead generation. What do I always say with for sale by owners? Day one, they go on the market, 18 realtors go knock on their door and say, you should list with me, you should list with me, you should list with me. And the for sale by owner is like, if I was going to list with you, I wouldn't be for sale by owner this by myself. And what happens? The 18 realtors are never to be seen again. But if you're that realtor who's there on week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, who's adding some value to that for sale by owner, you have to be there when that for sale by owner is frustrated and they think it's hard. For sale by owners do not think selling a house is hard. That is why they're a for sale by owner. So if you're there day one, they don't think they need you. They don't want to talk to you. To be frank, you're wasting your time. You need to be there along the path with them. And listen, it's a lot more of a consultant, less cutthroat. You guys see the difference between expires and FSBOs? It's there being with the FSBO at the end, not there in the beginning. When that FSBO finally raises their hand and say, you know what, Carl, I'm ready. And this is what I always say. Day one with the FSBO, give them some good marketing material. Right? We have a packet, how to sell your house like a realtor. They ask, why would you give me this information? Listen, I understand. I wish you the best of luck. I hope you sell the house. But if you ever decide that you want to interview a realtor, I hope you would consider me. Or you might come across somebody who needs to buy or sell and you found this information helpful and you'll refer me. Does that sound fair? Great. Mind if I check in with you once in a while? Sure. Great. Right? It's all about the dialogue. It's much different than saying, well, you know, when you list, call me and walk away. And we laugh when, like, you know, I do things like that. Like, well, ready to list? Call me. People do that. It's like if I listen to a Zillow phone call and someone picks up the call and they're just like, hey, what kind of first impression are you giving somebody? We only have one chance to give a first impression. And it better be good. Because if you don't click with them on that first impression, you're not going to get the business. Right? Psychology. They don't think they need you. You have to show them why you do. So you get the FSBO, you're in front of them. Once a week you check in, give them some type of item of value. Again, it's always, you want to give. It can't be about you trying to take. And until you change that mentality, you're not going to generate a lot of listings. Right? I mean, I'm going a little off tangent. Even during the listing appointment, what do most agents do? They go in there and they brag. Right? I say it all the time. I'm Circle of Excellence Magenta. The seller could care less. I'm this award club. What does that even mean? If you're in a listing appointment, you better be focused on what the seller wants and the seller needs, and you better ask the seller. Right? You'll go in through a listing appointment. When you ask questions and good questions, the seller will look at you like, wow, nobody else has asked me that question. And they start thinking, wow, this person cares. What can I do to blow away your expectations of the sale of your home? On a scale from 1 to 10, how brutally honest do you want me to be with you during this transaction? Right? They say 10. Great. So when I call them in 2 weeks, I said, remember you told me you want to be a 10? I'm being a 10. Your house is overpriced. We got to drop the price. You told me to be a 10. Whoa. Cuts a lot of the tension out. How do you want me to communicate with you? If you listed my dad's house and you texted my dad will fire you. Because his Nokia doesn't text. But we don't think about that. We try to communicate with the seller the way we like to communicate with the seller. But the seller doesn't want to communicate that way. You're not building a relationship, and you're not going to get referrals because they're going to think you're annoying. But we don't know how to communicate with that seller because we never asked them. Referrals. This is also valid for buyers. How much money does it take to write a handwritten note? You could get cards at the dollar store. Say you get 10 cards, it costs you 10 cents. Postage is going up to 55. 65 cents it costs you to write a handwritten note. You can control your network. You can control your referrals. Most agents' bread and butter of their business is the referral business, and most agents have zero systems, zero spend towards the referrals. It doesn't make sense. I've sat with agents. You've done this many deals. You've spent this much money on Zillow. You did just as many deals as referrals, and you really didn't spend any money on referrals. Or you have no system on how to work your referrals. There is gold in your database if you use it correctly. Well, Carl, I don't want to annoy them. Then don't call them and ask them how they're just say you're just checking in, because then you'll be annoying them. Because if I got a phone call like that, it would annoy me. But if you call with something to offer and you call with something of value, How much more confident are most people when they go into a listing appointment when it was a referral? That's a problem too, because not everyone goes in with the same level as if it wasn't a referral, and they get a little laid back and they don't get the listing. I've been in appointments where I was a referral and I'm like, oh, this is cake, and I didn't get the listing. Shame on me, because I went in there too lackadaisical, like, oh, all right, they're just going to list with me. Right? So it's about having that process. So work in your referrals. I love this too. I've worked with so many buyers. They're only going to refer me buyers. I'm like, what? I'm like, you're giving people way too much credit. People don't sit there and think, oh, well, I bought my house, so I don't know if they can handle the sale of the house. They just think, oh, you need a realtor? John was a great realtor. Here, work with him. They're not going to think like, well, I think John only works with buyers. Right? You can get seller leads from your referrals. And that's where most agents are actually going to get their seller leads. Right? And then what's the great part about, you can control building deep relationships with your past clients, your sphere. Anybody who's going to stand up at the top of the mountain and say, you need to work with this realtor, how much does it cost to build a relationship? Nothing. The only thing that might cost money is if you've lost touch with so many of your past clients and you have to re-engage them. You might have to do an event, a charity, something that costs money to re-engage a lot of your old past clients, which we've had people do at a high level of, oh man, I haven't talked, I love telling the story. There's an agent in our office. I made him do a client appreciation party. Fought me the whole way through it. I'm not doing it. He's like, all right, I called everybody. I have one more call left to make. He goes, I don't want to make the call. I'm like, just make the call. You made all the other calls. Made the call. The guy came to the client appreciation party and gave him 2 listings in the next 3 months. Referred him 2 listings in the next 3 months. Sometimes you think you had a bad relationship with somebody, but they might not think that. And I use this one too. I don't know if I want to really mail this person. That person was a jerk. That person could refer you to someone who's not a jerk. Right? So don't overanalyze this stuff. So the referrals are such key for the buyers, sellers. Most agents, this is going to be at least half of your business. I've talked to agents that are, their teams are doing $1 million in commissions, and when you break down their deals, most of it is sphere, referrals, past clients, and they don't even know it until I sit down with them and make them go through one by one which each deal is. Because how do you make a game plan if you don't know what your stats are? Right? So it's really great to do that, the referrals. Listen, the referrals could be a whole training. One other thing I want to say about referrals, because this doesn't cost money. John refers me a client. Most agents will wait till that client closes on a property and then send John a nice thank you or something. Wrong. The minute John sends that referral, you should acknowledge the referral. No matter what happens with the client. It doesn't matter if that client flakes out, never works with you, buys a house, it does not matter. You acknowledge at the time of the referral with a card or a phone call saying, hey, John, I just want to say thank you. I'm so grateful you thought of me. Regardless of what happens with the referral, I just wanted to say thank you. It means so much to me. Hey, you're welcome. So what's going to happen is, how long does it take from when you start working for a client and you close? 6 months? 4 months? 3 months if you're super lucky? You don't acknowledge John for sending you a referral for 3 to 6 months? Who else did John might have known that he didn't refer to you because he didn't even feel like you really cared that he referred you somebody? Does that make sense? And you can't be like, all right, great, now we close something. Now I got to reciprocate and get John a gift card. No. A simple handwritten note. John, thanks for thinking of me. It means so much to me. Send it out. Because you don't know what else you're going to miss in those 3 to 6 months of that time he did with the referral. And a lot of this stuff you can pre-write. It doesn't have to be so personal, and have it in an envelope. You just write the address, get it out. But that's like one of my biggest pet peeves, is wait until the closing to acknowledge somebody who gave you a referral. So let's say this. Now you're starting to generate some business, right? You're working, you got a FSBO, you got whatever else. Another way to generate more business and to really start ballooning your business is you leverage your business. I'm going to use Rocco as an example. He knows what story I'm going to tell. He called the FSBO. He got the listing. He ended up selling it. He found the buyer. While doing his dreaded open house, he had other buyers come to it. They didn't want to buy that house, but they bought something else, and they needed to list their house, and Rocco got to list the house. So he took, and he didn't have to spend any money for 5 deals, it turned out to be, something like that. But he did the effort, determined, he called and it wasn't the only for sale by owner he called, and he had to do that dreaded open house. But it leveraged it and turned into 5, 6 deals. All right? Prepare yourself in the beginning to scale. People are like, what does that mean, Carl? If you start doing deals, start going and get Zillow reviews. Zillow reviews can also be when you show a house. Start working on your testimonials for any deals you do. Why? Because that moment when you're like, you know what, I'm going to start spending some money and buying some Zillow leads, you're ready to buy it at a high level with your profile right and everything, and you're not scrambling around to try to play catch up. Right? I don't know if there's any agents in the room that did this, like, oh, I'm going to buy Zillow leads. Now you're scrambling to get reviews, you're scrambling to get your past sales updated. Just do it from the beginning. Leverage it. Leverage your database. I was talking to an agent yesterday. He's been in the business 10 years. And he's like, I'm kicking myself for not doing this in the beginning and putting together my database. Because he's been scrambling for the last month to try to put everything together. Because he wants to do a referral campaign this year. But I said, you can't do a referral campaign if we don't know who we're sending it after. So if you do this from the beginning, and again, it doesn't have to be a CRM. A lot of people's companies provide a CRM. Leverage it. You know, we provide a CRM and it has a whole referral campaign with emails and tasks about how to do it. 90% of the people just don't click the one button it takes to start it. That's life. But you got to leverage the business you have. If you have a good listing, promote it. Do the open house. Canvas it. If there's no inventory for a buyer, try to use that buyer to create an inventory. Who here has ever had a buyer that was looking for one specific subdivision? Most agents will say this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set you up on an auto search, and as soon as something comes in that subdivision, you'll be the first one to know. Why don't you go out and knock the subdivision? Or call the subdivision? How many times do I hear realtors say, oh, I have a buyer looking in your area when they really don't? If you have it, use it. Try to create the inventory. Don't wait for something to pop on the market. You could be more proactive. Because there's tons of people who would love to sell their house without showing it and going through all the other nonsense. Right? How many of you have had that seller where you're waiting for them to be ready? And you've been waiting for them for a year to be ready. Well, we still got to clean out the house. We still got to paint. We still got to do this. Next thing you know, it's been 2 years and they're still haven't listed. Right? Oh, Cold Realty is a good resource to get phone numbers for neighborhoods and everything. If you get the listing, they call it circle dialing. You dial around saying, hey, I have this listing. If you know anybody who might be a good fit, or if you ever thought of selling or refinancing, you know, if you want to know the value. But Cold Realty is really good. Again, leveraging like Zillow with the reviews and everything is so key. So everything we went over today, there's nothing earth-shattering. I probably didn't tell you guys one thing that was like, whoa. That was my plan. Because a lot of this is just the basics. Lead with revenue. Right? I always say, you want to buy Zillow leads, unless you're sitting on a huge stack when you first start, you want to lead with revenue. You want to do all this stuff, and then you want to get to that point of the business where you're like, all right, now I want to leverage it by buying some leads. But none of that matters, and nothing we talked about today matters if you can't do this. If you cannot convert leads, you are in serious trouble. What made my business get built was I followed up like crazy. Every aspect of marketing is entirely useless unless it produces conversions. You can spend $1 million a year on Zillow. If you can't convert leads, it doesn't matter. You'll get lucky on one or two. Scripts and dialogues. Man, we live in such an information age. You can Google scripts. You could Google Tom Ferry scripts and save yourself $600 a month and get scripts. There's so many good scripts out there. You can role play. Realtors are the meanest people to role play with because they like to give you the most craziest scenarios and make it awkward. You can never, I role play with a lot of realtors. It's never like the easy scenario. Like they'll give me like, oh, I only want to list my house on Mondays between 1 and 2 o'clock, and that's it. I said, well, this is what I would say in the listing appointment. Good luck, and walk out. Because I don't want that listing. Some of the best listings you get are the ones you don't take. How many times has everyone heard me say that? But you got to get nailed in with your scripts and dialogues. That is what separates the people in this business. I'm not saying this cocky, but there's 90% of the people, if you give me and them the same amount of leads and it just came down to conversion, I'm going to out-convert. Again, that's not cocky, but that's just from experience and confidence. Follow up, follow up, follow up. I would used to follow up. I remember one person at a bank told me, do you do anything else besides call me? I said, well, I watch the Yankees. She's like, I respect that. And I said, as hard as I follow up with you, is as hard as I'm going to work on your properties. And I want to show you, not just tell you. She's like, that's pretty good. She's having fun with me on the call. I'm like, I was like, I just thought of it. I'm glad you like it. But it's true. You've got to follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. Too many people are spending the money and not working on the follow-up because what are they going to say? Oh, well, another lead's just going to come in. They might not say it out loud, but they're thinking of it subconsciously. Well, why do I have to follow up with this lead? There's going to be another lead coming here. It's one of the biggest flaws with teams. And I tell team leaders this all the time. You're out there burning cash, and you have buyer's agents saying, well, I don't really have to work on this old lead. I said, you want to see your buyer's agents work, turn the funnel off. And you're going to see who's talented and who's not. Turn the funnel off and let them work the 1,000, 2,000 leads you have in your CRM or your listing leads. I'm telling you, that's what's happening. People are buying leads. They're saying, well, just wait for the next one to come in. And if you're a team leader, you know exactly what I'm talking about because you felt it. And again, your follow-up, Excel, CRM. I didn't have a CRM when I started. I had a binder, paper. Call this, call the check. Right? I eventually graduated to an Excel spreadsheet, then eventually graduated to a CRM. Right? And with the CRM, it makes everything so much easier because I used to get all these leads and they were on pieces of paper and then I would lose the paper and then I'm mad at myself and then I spend all Sunday looking for a piece of paper. The CRM takes all your leads and funnel them into one system. So all you got to do is go in that system and hit the leads. Don't rely on an automatic campaign. Please don't rely on an automatic campaign for your follow-up. You have to get on the phone, text message, whatever. Get in front of them. Video. Everybody should have a video. that they can send somebody as a follow-up. Right? Who here has talked to that lead once and then they just get ghosted? You can never find them again. And you call. One of my first jobs was business to business. I sold cell phones for T-Mobile. Business to business. You want to talk about learning how to sell. It was like walking into offices and like, hey, I'm here to sell cell phones. They're like, get out. I'm like, oh, I'm going to be out. I would walk in and sell a cell phone and there'd be no service. I followed up with this guy, Max. Max Lohman was his name. For 6 months. And it turned into a game. Like, Max, that's my weekly call. You're like, oh, we're going to do this. I'm like, no, we're not. I know, but I'm going to keep going down this path with you. You know, you got to work these leads. And that's why I say in the beginning is, if you're looking to spark some business, don't go looking for a new lead source. Look at really mastering the leads you already have and really working the leads you have, instead of just keep burning money at it. Because leads are not getting cheaper, by the way. Leads are getting more and more expensive. And I think we're going to see a shift in leads. I think a lot of paid lead sources are going to become more of a referral base with a very, very high referral fee. I see the shift already happening. Zillow's already doing it in some market. They call it Flex, where they're just charging like a 40% referral. Because they know they'll make more money in the long run. Right? If you study this and you see the changes that's happened in Zillow the last couple of months, it's very clear to me that's what's happening.
Can you repeat that?
So what's happening in Zillow is that if anyone's spending in Zillow, now they're going to connections, where they live connect you to a lead. Okay? Anyone here who's ever paid on Zillow leads, what's the biggest thing Zillow wants you to do? They want you to track your leads in their app, which stinks. Okay? They're making a huge push on getting people to use their technology. I could be 110% wrong, but this is what I think. So what's happening is there's things like, who's heard of OpCity? OpCity gives out leads, 35% referral, live connect people. They just got bought out by Realtor.com for $210 million. Realtor.com is owned by a guy named Murdoch. Murdoch owns the biggest lead referral company in Australia. They give leads to agents based on a very high referral fee. What do you think is going to happen with Realtor.com? You just got to watch the trend. So what happened? This happens, then all of a sudden Zillow shifts their model. And who does this new model make the most angry? The highest spending agents on their platform, who are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. As a company, why would you want to make mad the people who are spending you the most money? They're going to make the shift. They're already testing it in Florida, where the lead comes through and it's a 35% referral or 37% referral at closing. At a $10,000 closing, what's a 37% referral? $3,700. Reverse engineer it. Team leaders were buying leads, giving them out. The lead, they would spend $3,700 to hope to get the $10,000 closing. So I think Zillow right now is in the middle of a shift. Because I know Flex is coming to New Jersey, I've been told. It's the only thing I could see happening. Again, I could be dead wrong, but usually you don't like to upset your biggest clients. And a lot of that's happening. So there's some positives into it, there's some negatives, but I think that's the shift that's happening. Because why else would they go to live connections instead of the way they used to do it? Just my 2 cents. I could be 100% wrong, but it's something to keep an eye on. All right? Lead conversion is consistent. My follow-up was done every morning before I did anything else. You know why? I find 110 reasons not to do it at 2 o'clock. I'm like, hey, I'll do it later. If I did it in the morning, I got it done, I got it out of the way, and that was my morning routine. For realtors, this is the perfect time to do the follow-up. Who here is really showing houses at 9 a.m.? Once in a while, but not typical. Right? But what happens is, this business, strolling around 11, see what you got going on for the day. If you make the dedication at 9 to 10, 10 to 11, whatever it might be, before you start, and you treat it like an appointment, and just do your follow-up every day, you're going to see your income skyrocket. Because I know it's very easy to be like, I'm going to do it at 2 o'clock, and then what happens? Somebody calls you, I want to see a house at 2. And then the realtor is running out of the office like a tornado, or the house like a tornado hit. Like, oh, I got to go. The buyer called me. You know, and I was bad. I was never good at working buyers. Hated working with buyers. They hated working with me. It was a mutual awkwardness. Because I would walk in a house, I'd be like, this is the kitchen. And I would laugh like, this is the bathroom. There's a toilet. What material is this countertop? And so I have no clue. I would knock on it. Be like, not a good one. Or be like, oh, that hurt, right? I was not good with buyers. The last buy-side deal I think I've ever done was my wife's best friend, which was the worst deal to do because I was so nervous because I'm like, I'm going to be at their kid's first birthday party, and are they going to think that my home inspector screwed them? So I was never worked with buyers. I was always much more able to connect and work with sellers and get beat up. Like I didn't mind. And I knew that. But some people are much more zoned in on working with buyers, and that's great. I mean, we have an agent. I mean, all he does is, God bless him, he could turn buyers left and right, and he loves it. He's fantastic at it. Me? Nah, terrible. But consistency, every morning, hitting those leads. Right? There's agents I walk in, I'm like, did you make your calls yet? Did you make your calls yet? Because it's so important, right? It's just like going to the gym. You're in a great gym routine. You feel great. You go to Atlantic City for the realtor convention. You don't go to the gym for 3 weeks. And then it's tough to get back into it. That was a personal one right there. But if you go every day, the results come. Marketing material helps with lead conversion. Right? Everyone always heard me talk about listing appointments, having a really good pre-listing packet, having a really good listing process will make you more confident, which will make you better at converting. I've seen it. There was an agent that he went on all these listing appointments and never got the listing. I'm like, one, you're either lying to me, or two, you're just not really good at your listing appointment and lead converting. Because you're really good at getting in the door, but you're really bad at coming out with the agreement signed. And then he told me that people are actually listing with other realtors at prices below he suggested. I'm like, we have a lead conversion issue. And we worked on his presentation, we worked on his lead conversion, and now he's at an 80% closing rate from like a 20. You want to talk about a big difference in business. So it's really just, and having that marketing material, it gives you that confidence. It explains it, right? You go into, it drives me crazy when I see people going to a listing presentation. They go, here are my testimonials. Look, I'm good. Look, look. I'm like, what is that? Why don't you send it ahead of time so people could actually see it? Again, you only have one chance to make a good first impression. You send the pre-listing packet, people open up, they're like, wow, this is really impressive. This is not your average realtor. They might not read it, but who cares? You got to set yourself apart. The testimonial thing just drives me nuts because people can't sit there and you're like hovering over them. Like, look, see, John really liked me. Having good marketing material, it doesn't cost a lot of money. Man, you can find so much good realtor marketing thing. I have a Pinterest account. My Pinterest account is just for realtor marketing stuff. I stalk it. You can find phenomenal marketing stuff on Pinterest that other realtors do. There's Facebook groups. Some of these Facebook groups are a little much. Some are a little much. But you can get really good ideas and good material out of it. Man, you should have other agents that you can... I always say this, there's enough business out there. You can't always have that fear of like, I can't share because, that's mine or someone's going to steal it. You got to collaborate as a group, realtors. Because you could get some great ideas from other agents. And again, it could be an agent not in your market. that you bounce and share ideas off of. And that's free. That just goes back to your relationships. Video. Back to video. I love when people tell me, this is my year of video. I bought BombBomb. I just go in my head, I'm like, they just wasted $380. Crawl before you walk. Video is massive. We do a lot of video. I do a lot of video with Steve. I mean, all the time. Video is great. It wasn't comfortable at first. You build up to it. But don't go right for the juggernaut and buy BombBomb. Go to Vidyard. There's other Cloud HQ has some video thing. It's free. Start trying it. If you start using it and then you really want to scale with video, then you can look at something like BombBomb. But don't be afraid to send the video to help you with the quick lead conversion. Don't worry about, like, I don't have to worry about this, but like, oh, my hair look all right? Did I stutter? You know, it's like, I watch my videos and I'm just like, oh. But it is what it is. It's life. Funny story, I was almost in a movie in 3rd grade. Talk about not wanting to see yourself in video. Has anyone ever heard of the movie Jack the Bear? Yeah. With Danny DeVito? Yeah. I was almost supposed to be the kid Dexter. My parents dragged me to an open casting call. I can't believe I'm telling the story. My parents dragged me to this open casting call when I was in 4th grade. And I was wearing a Bart Simpson shirt that said, Aya Caramba. Dude, it's cool then, right? So I'm wearing it, and they start talking to me about the shirt. And my brother went, and I went. I was in the casting meeting for like 20 minutes. I'm cracking jokes. I got the ladies laughing. I don't know what's going on. I don't even know what I was there for. I leave. They give I get a call back. They call it a call back. I get a call back. We want you to come in and start reading the script. I'm like, Mom, I'm not really good at reading. She's like, it's all right. We'll get through it. I get another call back. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like getting into the final rounds. The star of the movie was Danny DeVito. Does everyone here know Danny DeVito? Yeah. He's not very tall. I was tall in 4th grade. I was like, there's no way I'm getting this part in this movie. My mom's like, why? I'm like, I am just as big as Danny DeVito. And I'm supposed to be a kid? It's not happening. So I got 2 callbacks. I didn't get the part. But that was such a side part, right? But it's like, you're not always going to be comfortable on video. But I just really go back. If you're going to take one thing out of this, download Vidyard. It's a Google Chrome extension. It's even a great thing to do if somebody sends you a referral. Mamatha sends me a referral. 2 seconds. Hey, Mamatha, just want to say I'm very grateful for you to think of me about the referral. I just wanted to send you this quick message. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you soon. Boom. It's going to be different. And again, crawl before you walk with the video stuff. It's really all I got. I'm going to leave it off on the Jack the Bear story. But again, I just want to I can't tell you how grateful I am for everybody taking time out of their schedule. I know how tough it is as realtors because there's so many fires that come up. And I know some of you drove some far distances, so I really want to say thank you. Also, to let you know, we are going to be doing a training here next month. And again, it's going to be about scaling your business with virtual assistants. I think virtual assistants is a great way to scale your business and yet keep very profitable. But again, it's how you work with the virtual assistant. It's how we're going to go through all of that in the training. Like I said, we've been doing it. I probably work with 4 virtual assistants, and we've been doing it for 3 years. All right? So again, if you want the slides, you could just drop me your business card or something. I'll be more than happy to send it out so you can use this as a reference. But again, I really appreciate everybody coming. Thank you.